Picture this obsession. A Japanese luxury brand spends a decade, 10 years, developing a supercar, builds only 500 units, charges $375,000 each, and loses money on every single one. The result? Jeremy Clarkson called it the best car he'd ever driven. Collectors are paying nearly $2 million for the rarest examples, and Toyota's president regrets not building more. This is the Lexus LFA, Japan's middle finger to common sense, wrapped in aerospace-grade carbon fiber, powered by a Yamaha-tuned V10, and engineered with a level of obsession that makes Ferrari look rational. Welcome to the story of automotive perfection, where profit was never the point. Let's establish the facts, because this car is so legendary that myths and reality blur together like a V10 at 9,000 RPM. 552 horsepower from a 4.8-liter V10. 0 to 60 in 3.6 seconds. Top speed, 202 miles per hour. Nürburgring lap time, 7 minutes, 14.64 seconds. Original price in 2010, $375,000 for a Lexus. Today, standard examples trade between $800,000 and $1 million. The Nürburgring package, 1.5 to nearly 2 million. That's not depreciation, that's appreciation. Over 300% for the rarest examples. But here's what makes the LFA truly insane. None of those numbers tell the real story. The LFA story begins in the late 1990s, when Akio Toyoda, grandson of Toyota's founder, looked at the company's lineup and saw something missing. Reliability? Check. Quality? Absolutely. Soul? Zero. Toyota built cars your accountant would recommend. Lexus built cars your tax attorney would approve. But emotion? That was Ferrari's territory. And Akio Toyoda wanted in. In 2002, legendary test driver Hiromu Naruse recruited young Akio to the secret LFA project. The mission? Prove that Japanese engineering could build the world's most emotional supercar, not just the most reliable. Plot twist. The board of directors thought this was insane. At a meeting of top management, everyone argued against the LFA proposal. Even the people in charge of research and development objected to it. But Akio Toyoda had a vision, and eventually, the power to make it happen. Fast forward to January 2005, the LFA concept debuts at the Detroit Auto Show. Beautiful aluminum body, V10 engine, target price around $200,000. Toyota announces production for 2007. The automotive press goes wild. Japan is building a Ferrari fighter, finally. And then, silence. 2007 comes and goes. No LFA. 2008, nothing. 2009, still waiting. What the hell happened? Spring 2005, just months after the aluminum concept debut, Toyota's R&D chief Kazuo Okamoto walks into chief engineer Haruhiko Tanahashi's office with devastating news. The aluminum prototype can't hit the target Nürburgring lap times. The chassis isn't stiff enough. The weight distribution isn't right. The dynamics are wrong. Okamoto's solution? 4 words that would add 5 years to the project. Get over it, just go with carbon fiber. Not aluminum, not steel. Carbon fiber. Let that marinate. Now, most companies would have used existing carbon fiber technology. Buy it from suppliers, adapt proven methods, get to market. Not Toyota. They invented their own carbon fiber weaving system, the Lexus Carbon Loom, one of only 2 such machines in the world at the time. A deliberate callback to Sakichi Toyoda's invention of the automatic loom in 1924. The result? 100 kilograms, 220 pounds, saved versus aluminum. But here's the kicker. This decision added 5 years to development and cost hundreds of millions. Because when Toyota does obsession, they go all in. Let's talk production. Because the LFA's specifications read like a love letter to inefficiency. Production rate: 1 car per day, 20 per month, maximum. Staff: 170 hand-picked workers at the Motomachi plant. The same facility that built the legendary Toyota 2000 GT in the 1960s. Each V10 engine, assembled and signed by a single technician, like a Swiss watch. Chassis: 65% carbon fiber, 35% aluminum. Aerospace-grade quality. The same stuff they use in airplanes. This wasn't mass production. This was artisan craftsmanship on a supercar budget. Now let's address the elephant in the room. Or rather, the V10 under the hood. 4.8 liters, 52 degrees between cylinder banks, 552 horsepower at 8,700 RPM. But here's what makes this engine special. It's not just powerful, it's obsessive. Titanium connecting rods, 40% lighter than iron, forged aluminum pistons, dry sump lubrication. Toyota claims this V10 weighs less than their 3.5-liter V6, a seemingly impossible feat. The 3.5 V6, 163 kilograms. The LFA's V10, approximately 160 kilograms. A 10-cylinder engine lighter than a 6-cylinder. And it revs from idle to 9,000 RPM so quickly that Lexus had to install a digital tachometer. Because an analog needle physically couldn't keep up. The engine spins up faster than a mechanical gauge can move. That's not engineering, that's sorcery. And who built this mechanical masterpiece? Not Toyota, not Lexus, Yamaha. Now here's where the LFA story gets really interesting, and where automotive myths need correcting. Everyone knows the LFA sounds incredible. Jeremy Clarkson described it as sounding like a werewolf that had put its foot in a gin trap. Otherworldly, supernatural, angelic. The common story? Yamaha's musical instrument division tuned the exhaust to sound like an orchestra. Plot twist. That's wrong. Here's what actually happened, and the truth is even more obsessive than the myth. Yamaha Corporation's Center for Advanced Sound Technologies, yes, the piano people, did work on the LFA, but they designed the intake system, not the exhaust. They brought expertise from designing over 200 concert halls. They created acoustic channels to pipe the V10's roar into the cabin like a concert hall. Purely physical acoustics. No electronic sound processing, no speakers, just engineering. Yamaha called this resonated complex harmony, making the cabin a symphony hall at 9,000 RPM. That's the intake sorted. But the exhaust? The exhaust was designed by Sango, a Japanese exhaust manufacturer that's been supplying Toyota for over a century. According to Chief Engineer Haruhiko Tanahashi's 2024 book, LFA: The Roar of an Angel, the Yamaha exhaust story is nothing more than an urban myth. Sango's design was based on human voice formant analysis, specifically modeled on soprano vocal range characteristics. They analyzed how opera singers produce sound, then replicated that acoustic signature in titanium. The result? A car that doesn't just sound fast, it sounds like music. Two companies, two acoustic systems, one masterpiece. Japan doesn't do things halfway. August 31st, 2011. The Nürburgring Nordschleife. Professional racing driver Akira Ida, LFA test driver, straps into a pearl orange Nürburgring package LFA on standard road-legal Bridgestone Potenza tires and proceeds to absolutely destroy the production car lap record. 7 minutes, 14.64 seconds. Porsche 911 GT2 RS, 718, Corvette ZR1, 719, Nissan GTR, 724. The LFA was the fastest production car around the Nürburgring, period. Top speed on the run, 298 kilometers per hour, 185 miles per hour on the Duttinger uphill climb. Plot twist. The Dodge Viper ACR beat the LFA's record approximately 2 weeks later with a 712.1. But for 2 glorious weeks in 2011, a Lexus held the production car record at the world's most demanding circuit. Japan had arrived. Let's talk about the Nürburgring package, because this wasn't just a badge and some stickers. 50 units. Original MSRP, $445,000, $70,000 more than the standard LFA. What did you get? Front brake cooling ducts, adjustable rear spoiler, carbon fiber roof and wing, mesh wheels, recalibrated suspension, revised aerodynamics. More importantly, you got the only LFA capable of that 714 lap time. Today, these 50 cars trade between $1.5 and nearly $2 million. One example sold for $1,875,000 on Bring a Trailer in November 2023, the highest recorded LFA sale ever. That's over 300% appreciation in roughly a decade. Not bad for a car Toyota supposedly lost money building. Speaking of money, let's address the financial insanity that made this car possible. Development timeline, approximately 10 years. from early 2000s concept to 2010 production start. Total investment? Toyota has never published the exact figure, but industry estimates place it well over $1 billion when you factor in the carbon fiber loom development, Motomachi plant modifications, and extended engineering timeline. 500 units produced, even at $375,000 each. That's $187.5 million in revenue. Do the math. Toyota lost hundreds of millions on this project. Was this a business decision? Absolutely not. This was a passion project, approved by a CEO who raced LFA prototypes at the Nürburgring 24-hour race under the pseudonym Morizo, because the board would have criticized him for using his real name. Akio Toyoda's involvement in the LFA story goes deep. As vice president of product planning in the mid-2000s, he championed the project against board opposition. As newly appointed president in August 2009, he personally confirmed LFA production. In October 2009, he introduced the production LFA at the Tokyo Motor Show, and then he raced it. Starting in May 2009, Toyota entered LFA prototypes in the Nürburgring 24-hour race under the pseudonym Morizo, named after the Aichi World Expo mascot. His quote on the secrecy, "I would have been harshly criticized if I'd used my own name, not by other competitors, but by the board." Chief engineer Tanahashi ensured Akio Toyoda was the first test driver for each prototype iteration. Tanahashi's complaint? Once he gets behind the wheel, it's hard to get him out. You have to show him the flag. A CEO who races his own company's prototypes while hiding from his own board of directors. That's not corporate governance. That's rebellion. And here's the kicker, Akio Toyoda's biggest regret about the LFA. In 2025, 15 years after production started, GT project manager Takashi Doi revealed that Akio Toyoda regrets capping LFA production at just 500 units. Think about that. The man who fought the board to build the LFA wishes he'd fought them to build more. But here's the beautiful irony. Limiting production to 500 is precisely what made the LFA's value explode. Scarcity creates desire. Desire creates value. Value creates legacy. If Toyota had built 5,000 LFAs, they'd probably be worth 200,000 today. Nice cars, but not legends. At 500, they're approaching $2 million for the rarest examples. Sometimes the right decision looks wrong, until time proves otherwise. December 15th, 2010, the first production LFA rolls off the Motomachi assembly line. Akio Toyoda personally attends the ceremony. 170 craftsmen celebrate. After a decade of development, 5 years after restarting with carbon fiber, the LFA is finally real. December 14th, 2012, LFA number 500, a white Nürburgring package, completes production. The era of the V10 naturally aspirated Japanese supercar is complete. But wait, the story gets weirder. Here's something nobody expected. Zombie LFAs. Production ended in December 2012, but LFAs kept getting delivered. For years. August 2017, Jalopnik investigates and finds 12 unsold LFAs sitting in US dealerships. 5 years after production ended, and then 3 zombie LFAs were delivered in the United States in 2020, 8 years after production ended. June 2023, the final LFA is sold when an Australian Toyota dealer purchases its own display car. 11 years from first production to final sale. Why? Some dealers held cars as showroom centerpieces. Others bought them as investments. A few dealer owners purchased them personally and never titled them. And they were right, because those unsold LFAs appreciated faster than most stocks. Let's address the elephant in the showroom. Was a $375,000 Lexus worth it in 2010? The badge said Lexus, a brand known for making reliable sedans for dentists and real estate agents, not supercars for collectors. Competitors at similar prices. Ferrari 458 Italia, Lamborghini Gallardo, Porsche 911. Turbo, brands with decades of supercar credibility. Initial reaction? Skepticism. Lots of it. Lease-only purchase requirement for the first customers. Toyota wanted to prevent flippers and ensure cars went to enthusiasts, but it also signaled nervousness about resale values. Many buyers couldn't get past the badge. A Lexus for Ferrari money? That's insane. But then, people actually drove them. Jeremy Clarkson, the man who's driven everything, put his reputation on the line. Top Gear magazine, March 11, 2013. I recently described it as the best car I've ever driven. I will not change my mind about this car. Top Gear Series 19, Episode 2. If somebody were to offer me a choice of any car that had ever been made, ever, I would take a dark blue LFA. That's how much I love this thing. The same Clarkson who worships at the altar of Ferrari, who treats Lamborghini like royalty, who respects Porsche engineering, called a Lexus the best car he'd ever driven. His Sunday Times review, it sounded otherworldly. When Jeremy Clarkson says a Lexus is the best car ever made, you pay attention, and slowly, the market realized what Toyota had built. Owners described it as an emotional experience, not just transportation. The sound alone justified the price. Here's what makes the LFA appreciation even more impressive: timing. Many collector car segments softened in 2024 and 2025. Auction results declined, the market cooled. But LFA values? They held firm. Standard LFAs now trade for $800,000 to $1 million. That's over 100% appreciation. The Nürburgring editions? $1.5 to nearly $2 million. Highest recorded sale, $1,875,000. November 2023, bring a trailer. Recent sales? $875,000 in April 2025. $860,000 in October 2024. Toyota lost money building them. Owners are making money owning them. Why? Limited production. Legendary status. Yamaha V10. Carbon fiber chassis. Clarkson's blessing. And, most importantly, the realization that this is probably the last great naturally aspirated Japanese supercar. The LFA isn't just a car, it's the end of an era. Let's talk about what the LFA represents in automotive history. In the 1960s, Japan built the Toyota 2000 GT, a beautiful grand tourer that proved Japanese craftsmanship could compete globally. In the 1980s and 90s, the Honda NSX showed that Japanese engineering could build a practical supercar that worked every day. And in the 2010s, the Lexus LFA proved that Japanese passion could create automotive ART, even if it made zero financial sense. The 2000 GT established credibility. The NSX proved reliability. The LFA, it went for the soul. Akio Toyoda's quote about the 20-year supercar cycle. In Japan, there is the Ise Shrine. It is rebuilt every 20 years as part of the Shinto belief in the renewal of nature. In the 1960s, we built the 2000 GT. In the 1980s, we had the Supra. In 2000, the 20-year cycle should have continued, but too many people were interested in volume and sales, not in a special car. The LFA was Japan's return to building cars that make you feel something. Here's something to consider. Could the LFA happen today? Modern Toyota builds the GR Yaris, GR Corolla, GR Supra, fantastic performance cars that make sense. But a 10-year development cycle? A billion-dollar investment for 500 units? Inventing proprietary carbon fiber technology? Partnering with a piano company for acoustics? Designing an exhaust based on soprano vocal analysis? Would modern Toyota approve that? Would any automaker? The LFA exists because Akio Toyoda had the vision to greenlight insanity and the power to see it through, even when the entire board opposed him. That kind of automotive rebellion is rare, and getting rarer. The LFA might be the last of its kind. A supercar built purely for passion, where profit was never the priority. And that makes it priceless. Let's bring this full circle, because the LFA story has a beautiful symmetry. It started with a young Akio Toyoda recruited to a secret project in 2002. It ended with President Akio Toyoda watching the 500th LFA leave the factory in 2012. It began with a board of directors saying no. It concluded with those same LFAs selling for millions. It launched with skepticism about the Lexus badge. It achieved legendary status that transcends brand. The LFA was supposed to be a financial disaster. Instead, it became one of the greatest automotive investments of the 21st century. And now, 15 years after production started, Akio Toyota regrets not building more. The man who fought to build it wishes he'd fought harder. That's not failure, that's legacy. So here's the final question. Was the Lexus LFA worth it? For Toyota's accountants? Absolutely not. They lost hundreds of millions. For Akio Toyoda? Without question, he proved Toyota could build the world's most emotional supercar. For Lexus, it established credibility that no marketing campaign could buy. For the 500 owners? Hell yes, their cars are worth millions. For automotive history, the LFA is proof that passion can triumph over profit, that obsession can create perfection, and that sometimes the best cars are the ones that make the least financial sense. The LFA isn't just a supercar, it's a statement. It says that even in an industry dominated by spreadsheets and shareholders, there's still room for soul. It proves that Japanese engineering can create art, not just appliances. And it demonstrates that the right car, built for the right reasons, becomes priceless. So what's next for the LFA legend? Values will likely continue climbing, especially for the 50 Nürburgring package examples. As naturally aspirated supercars become extinct, the LFA's significance will grow. As electric performance becomes dominant, the V10's symphony will become more precious. And as automotive passion gets regulated, optimized, and electrified out of existence, the LFA will stand as a monument to what we've lost. 20 years from now, people will look at the LFA and ask, how did this get approved? And the answer will be, because one man, Akio Toyoda, believed that cars should make you feel something. That belief cost hundreds of millions. That belief created a masterpiece. That belief changed automotive history. So here's the question for you. Does the LFA's sound justify its nearly $2 million price tag? Would you choose an LFA over a Ferrari 458? Over a Lamborghini Aventador? Over a Porsche 918? Is a Yamaha V10 worth more than a Ferrari V12? Is Japanese obsession worth more than Italian passion? Drop your thoughts in the comments and tell me, Team LFA or Team Literally, anything else? And if you're wondering which other automotive obsessions we'll cover, check out our Engineering Impossibilities playlist, where Bugatti spent $300 million proving the impossible was possible. Don't forget to subscribe, because we're documenting the greatest engineering achievements in automotive history, one obsession at a time. This is Supercar Chronicles, where we celebrate the cars that make zero financial sense, but infinite emotional sense. The Lexus LFA, Japan's billion-dollar middle finger to spreadsheets. Don't be the accountant who said no to building it. Be the collector paying $2 million to own it.